Hello everyone, how are you? Good to see you. A lot of you here in the morning. Right? I see Prema, I see Pooja is there, I see Tanu is there, Sushil is there, right? Sandeep is there, Harsh. How are you guys? Just give me 1 second. I think my alarm is there. Well, just give me 1 second, I'll be back. I think my alarm is still switched on. Give me 1 second, please. You guys join until then, give me just 10 seconds, I'll be back. Yes, I'm sorry. This is what happens in the morning, right? This is what happens with everyone in the morning. You put a lot of alarms and then you forget. Cool. We are back and let's quickly. Hey Nitya, hi Ananya, Charu, hi Larsri, how are you? Hi Mevan, how are you? Good. Any questions, guys? Any questions from the previous chapters, from the previous concept, right? Thanks, Ashil. Thanks for understanding. Good day to you as well, Larsri, right? Any questions or any doubts that you guys have been facing, any confusion ho, koi question ho, some concept that is not clear, something that you feel you should know more, right? You need some more examples or something. Or if not, it's wonderful. Because today what I have is, right? Okay, multi-division structure and SBU. You want to know the difference between multi-division and SBU? We'll do that, Priya. Okay. I'm good, Sandeep. Thank you so much. Cool. So what I've planned today is we will start with chapter number 8, which is also a lengthy chapter per se, right? So we'll do some part of chapter 8 today, but we'll also spend 45 minutes at the end of this, right? After we'll do like chapter 8 for 1.5 hours, and another 1 hour we'll specifically spend on 2, 3 small independent questions again, similar to the last class, a little tough questions, a little thought-provoking questions. And what I've planned today is we'll also do one full-length case scenario as well, right? We will do a full-length case scenario right here so that you understand how to read a case scenario, how to read a question, how to understand what is asked in the question, right? And once you understand, only then you'll be able to identify that how are these questions framed, how do you solve these questions, what is so important in this question, what is to be studied, what is to be ignored in a particular question, how do you speed read a paragraph, right? We'll discuss few of those things today as well, right, with chapter number 8. So stay tuned for that. That is right, Rohit. We will also discuss about descriptive questions if you want. I can take up some questions in the next session as well. Sure, Chaitanya, if you have any questions from chapter 6, just drop it. That we'll be happy to explain that, right? I'll just spend 10 minutes on the doubts only. I want to begin the class by clearing all the previous doubts, because this is chapter number 8, and after this chapter, probably we will not have more sessions in, like, we have another session after this. So I want to clear all the doubts in today and the next session. Okay, so let us quickly go on to solve your doubts. First is Ria wants to know difference between multi-divisional and SBU. Like, think about this, Ria. Multi-divisional is a division within a division, right? So you're dividing your business into different divisions, and each of these divisions is further dividing their business, dividing their division into separate divisions. That is called multi-division. Dabbe ke andar dabba, right? That is multi-divisional. So what is happening is, यहाँ पे, how is it different for multi-divisional is that similar businesses are not grouped together. Every business is a separate division. Okay, think about this. When every business that let's say you have 10 businesses, Every business is a separate division. That means it is a multi-divisional, right? And every division has its own divisions. That means it is multi-divisional. That means it is multi-divisional. And SBU में क्या होता है? Similar businesses. What happens in an SBU is that similar businesses are grouped together into a business unit. उसको division ना बना के what they do is they create a business unit. Like we were doing, all the brands, all the businesses you have for soap together SBU. All the businesses that you have in terms of, let's say, a washing powder, separate business. So 3-4 divisions, 3-4 divisions which have a similar business, related business, grouped together into a single business unit, that is SBU, right? That is a major difference. Awesome. That's great, Pooja. If no doubts, I think my examples are working for you. What about Sushil? Sushil asking hourglass. Sushil, super simple. Hourglass क्या होता है? Right? That is your shape like this. ऊपर बहुत बड़ा level, then is middle level is very small, and then you have a small like the lower level. Like startups. If you are like 5 friends, आप 5 दोस्त मिलके एक startup start करते हो. You have 5 founders on the top. You keep 2 managers to manage all the things, and there are 10 people working in your company. Right? 10 people working in your company, 5 founders, and only 2 managers. It is an hourglass structure. Top पे 5 लोग, middle में 2 लोग, lower पे 10 लोग काम कर रहे हैं. It's an hourglass, right? ऐसा क्यों हो रहा है? Because a lot of work is done by technology, right? A lot of managerial work, a lot of supervision work, a lot of checking. Manager का काम क्या है? काम को check करना, right? A lot of things are being done by technology. A lot of things are done by computers. That is why your hourglass structure comes into picture, right? How is divisional structure by process similar to functional structure? It is not similar, I would say. It is somewhere different in terms of, right? Process is very different from a function. Okay, you have to understand this. Charu, your process is different from a function. It is on the same lines. See, the bifurcation of the business is on the same lines, but however, it is different. It is different in terms of that a divisional structure by process. A process is a very different thing from a function. Function is finance function, marketing function, this function, that function. Process is बहुत different. Process क्या होता है? Painting is a process, right? Then like fixing is a process, page लगाना is a process, then designing is a process. All these are processes. These are not functions. Functions are what we study: finance, marketing, HR, logistics. These are functions, while processes are different. एक गाड़ी को पेंट करना इज अ प्रोसेस, उसकी मेटल बॉडी को सीधा करना इज अ प्रोसेस, टायर लगाना इज अ प्रोसेस, स्टीयरिंग व्हील लगाना इज अ प्रोसेस, ऑयलिंग इज अ प्रोसेस. सो प्रोसेस में डिवाइड करोगे तो वो डिविजनल स्ट्रक्चर बाय प्रोसेस हो जाता है. इफ यू डिवाइडिंग योर बिजनेस based on function, that is functional structure, right? Process and function are different. Okay. You're not able to see, that should be there. Difference between explain functional and divisional. That should be on YouTube, right? I have seen that probably on YouTube you can watch that anything, right? Chaitanya, I don't understand. Chapter 6 R. What is R? Chapter 6 R. What do I understand from R? You have to write the entire thing for me to understand. Any more doubts, any more questions? Right, we'll just spend another 1 minute so that all the doubts are clear before we get into chapter number 8. See, similar in terms of, that is what I'm saying. That is what I'm saying. Structurally, your divisional structure based on process and function, how it looks is similar. How it looks on the paper is similar. However, dividing those two are different things, right? What I'm trying to say is, it looks similar is what the module says, is what I am also saying. The shape, how it looks is very similar, right? A divisional structure and a functional structure, the divisional based on process is very similar in looking how a functional structure looks, but a process and function are very different, right? Or if you think, if a company has different processes and they want to divide their process based on function, that is also what they can do. Because ideally, क्या बोल रहा है, the module wants to say is your processes can also be divided based on functions. So your divisional structure based on process might be similar to a functional structure, right? Right, Chaitanya, I am also not able to see your question. Probably you have written the entire thing here. Maybe type in two, three, like like 2, 3 lines in a different chat. Probably then I can see. Right. Sushil wants to understand every concept. We have done everything, Sushil. We have done everything. But I'll spend another 30 seconds switching cost base. Switching cost is basically when it becomes difficult for a customer to move to a new product that your company is bringing because usko aadat nahi, right? The cost that you bear, your product bears, that the customer has to switch, has to change the behavior, change the taste, change the preference, right? And that becomes difficult. People don't want to change their taste, right? If you go and tell a vegetarian to eat non-vegetarian food, it is going to be very difficult, right? That is a switching cost. That is a switching cost. It's not working on YouTube. The video isn't accessible. That is strange. All right, and I'll ask the technical team to check once, right? You're saying chapter number 7, part 1, right? Okay. I'll ask the technical team to check that once. That should be available. So I've noted it down. I have that in my copy pasted here. So I'll take this up and I'll let you know in the next session. It should be working, right? Okay, so again, right? Chaitanya, again, I only see R. There's some problem in the question. You're copy pasting, you're maybe you're just copy and pasting, so probably kuch problem hai, because your question is only coming as R. Okay, so that is, I don't understand that. Value chain, Pooja. Value chain is very simple. Value chain is based on your processes, based on your primary process, based on your primary activities, based on your supporting activities. You create value for the customer, right? आप customer के लिए value create करते हो basis your primary activity and your supporting activities, so that the customer pays more money, for your same product, right? And that is your extra profit, right? 10 रुपए की चीज है, but you give a value of 15 rupees. You are pricing it at 10 rupees, you're giving a value of 15 rupees. The customer is also ready to pay 17 rupees. Value chain analysis. Yes. Okay. I've started the PPT. You see, I'm just solving questions. PPT to on here. Right, Pooja? You understand value chain concept is very simple. You just create value for the customer so that आप 10 रुपए का बेच रहे हो, you're selling it at 10 rupees, but you're giving a value of 15 rupees, right? And the customer think, boss, ये तो बहुत ही अच्छा price है, I'm getting so much more than what I'm paying for. I'm also okay in paying more for this one, for this particular product at this particular price, right? So that is value chain analysis, value chain concept in a very brief way to understand. Okay. What else? What else? Shoot your questions. Let us solve all the doubts. Let us solve all the questions. You're awake in the morning, so let us try and solve that. Okay, now I got your questions on a page 6.24, 6.24 first point, ICAI module. Will I have to refer that module? Just give me 1 second. Probably I have that open only. Right? I will look at it. Just give me 1 second. I want to solve all the questions, yeah, because what will happen is, otherwise no use of the classes if I'm not solving your questions. So you're saying page 6.24. 6.24, let us go to page 6.24. Copy. Okay. Page 6.24, what is the question? Like you're doing a treasure hunt with me. इस page पे जाके first point पे जाके देखो. 6.5.2. You could have just written be a leader in R&D. So it says R&D approaches be the leader, right? What does this mean? You are the innovator. You are the innovator. Like you innovate something new, right? You innovate something new, and that is exactly what a be a leader means. There are three approaches of doing R&D. You either become the leader, you either become an innovative imitator, or you become a low cost producer. या तो आप कुछ इनोवेट करते हैं, either you are the inventor of a certain thing and that you sell as your business. Second is someone else invents but you change something in them, right? You change something in that product or service and then sell it as your own, or you become the low cost producer like China. Europe, India, US are doing innovations. They're just copying everything and just selling it off, right, at low cost. Apple is designing a phone. They introduced touchscreen. They introduced your finger touch scanner. They introduced Retina display, right? Long battery life. They're innovating. China is just copy pasting and selling it for 10, 15,000 rupees in phones, right? So that is low cost producer. Apple is be the leader. Like Apple is innovating, designing, right? That is being a leader. Cool. Awesome, Sakti. Awesome, Nityan. Thanks. Okay, Niharika's question is, what does strategy mean? Okay, Niharika, so probably Ramayana is over and Niharika's question is, who is Sri Ram? Okay. So I'll anyway explain that. So strategy, what is strategy? Okay, what is strategy? If you play games, Niharika, if you have ever played a game, right, what is a strategy? You know what a strategy is. You play badminton. Badminton is, you know what a strategy. If you play badminton, let's say you play an online game or PUBG or Fortnite, XYZ, right? So what is strategy? Strategy is simple. Strategy is you analyze what is happening around you, right? In simplest form, what is strategy? You analyze what is happening around you, right? You plan something that how do I tackle this or how do I take an advantage of this that is happening around me. I do that. I take actions and then I check whether my actions gave me results or not. If they gave me results, super. If they did not give me desired results, I go and change that particular action. And that is what strategy means. Let's take a quick example of badminton only. Okay. So you're playing badminton, the person, your component or your competitor in front of you, you see that their backhand, right? They're very weak at backhand. Okay. So think of this. You're playing badminton and you feel our competitor is very weak at backhand. So what you'll do? All your serves and shot. This is your strategy. You're analyzing that my competitor is very weak at backhand. So what should I do? I should always try to give a shot or try to put a shot in a place where they have to use their backhand. Okay, this is analysis. This is strategy analysis. You're analyzing. Second is you're planning what to do. What you do is whenever you get a good shot, whenever you get a service, right, you always throw it at the backhand of the competitor. Okay. Now this is your planning. Okay. First you analyze, then you plan ki acha jab bhi serve aayegi, jab bhi shot aayega, backhand pe hi marungi, right? And that is implementation. Whenever that happens, you do that. Whenever you get a serve, whenever there's a good shot, there's an easy shot, you go and put it in the backhand position for your competitor. And you start winning points, right? And you start winning points. And then you understand, boss, yehi to strategy thi. This is your strategy, and that is successful. This was your strategy to win the game, right? And that is what you had to do. This is what strategy in short is. You analyze your environment, what is happening around you, you plan accordingly to use it to the best advantage. You put your plans into actions and you check. And what you check is basically what we are going to do today. What we are going to do today is implementation and control. आप implement कैसे करते हो strategy and how do you control that strategy, that what I'm doing, what I planned is actually what I ideally wanted to do, what I essentially wanted to do, is it actually happening or not, right? Is what we are going to study in chapter 8, that is implementation and controlling a strategy, right? That helps. Niharika, what is strategy? Sure, Pooja, we'll take that up. We have a lot of questions. I'll do a case study also. So what will happen is you will understand ki how to read a question, how to read a scenario, पढ़ते कैसे हैं, right? Awesome. Let us move on to today's session, which is chapter number 8, and we will be studying strategy implementation and control, right? If you can quickly revise what you have studied till date, is also very simple, right? Chapter number 1 may be started. Chapter number 1 may what we studied was what is strategy, defining a strategy, hoti kya strategy kya hai, what is business strategy, what is planning, what is this, what are the different steps in strategy. Chapter 1 ने हमको समझा दिया, right? What was chapter 2? Chapter 2 was telling about portfolio analysis, how you analyze things, right? Chapter 2 was telling us how do you analyze things, right? Or your SWOT analysis, or this, or TOWS analysis. How do you find out what is happening in your environment? What was chapter 3 about? You tell me. What was chapter 3 about? Chapter 3 में क्या पढ़ा हमने? What was chapter 3 about? So, Charu, so what I'll do is back of the study material questions now, what we'll do is we're focusing on concepts, Abhi. Your chapter number 1, question number 7, Charu, keep that parked, right? When I start questions today, na, in the last 1 hour, I'll take up this thing, right? Abhi, let's focus on the concepts, right? But park this, I'll solve this. Pakka say I'll solve this. But tell me, what did we study in chapter number 3? Intent, mission, vision, right? Ideally, business कर क्यों रहे हैं? Why are we actually doing a business? Business करना क्यों है? What is a business? What is my definition? What is my strategy? What is my business model? How do I want to earn money? Right? That is what we did in chapter number 3, right? The basics we did in chapter 1, 2, 3. Then came a second group of chapters, which is chapter number 4, 5, and 6. Chapter 4 में we did corporate level, right? टॉप लेवल की बातें हमने करी कि कॉर्पोरेट लेवल की स्ट्रेटजीज क्या होती हैं, व्हाट इज अ कॉर्पोरेट लेवल स्ट्रेटजी, हाउ डज सीईओ, सीएफओ, सीएक्सओ, हाउ डू दे प्लान द बिजनेस, is what we studied, right? Then what happened? Then we did chapter number 5. Chapter number 5 में we did business level, right? Business level पे कौन सी strategies होती हैं is what we studied in chapter number 5. And in the middle management, what is that middle management does, right? What is this middle management does is your product development वगैरह ऊपर हो रही है, right? So business level पे क्या होता है? What is happening at business level, right? We did your 5 forces of competition, right? You were beating competition at business level, you were understanding competition, and you were trying to win over the competition in chapter number 5. In chapter number 6 में क्या हुआ? Chapter number 6 में we did functional level, right? फंक्शनल लेवल स्ट्रैटेजीज को पढ़ रहे थे. फाइनेंस स्ट्रैटेजी क्या है, मार्केटिंग स्ट्रैटेजी क्या है, राइट? व्हाट इज द फाइनेंस स्ट्रैटेजी, मार्केटिंग स्ट्रैटेजी, लॉजिस्टिक्स, सप्लाई चेन, व्हाट इज R&D, HR क्या है, what are the kind of different functions? We divided the entire business into different functions, and then we understood what are these each function strategies, what are the internal strategies in each of these functions, like marketing में 4 P's plus 3 more expanded marketing mix, financial strategy, valuation, acquiring money. Then we did logistics, supply chain. How is it different? How does it actually help the organization? What are the challenges? What are the things you have to keep in mind for supply chain and logistics, right? And then came chapter number 7. Chapter number 7 was about organizational structure, right? Strategy समझ आ गई, basic क्या है? We understood what is strategy, portfolio analysis. We understood what is happening is I gave you an example strategy ka. You analyze things, then you plan things, then you execute, right? Then you implement and control, right? Execute, implementation, and control. You analyze your external environment, understand what is happening. First 3 chapters ने वो समझा दिया. The next 3 chapters helped in planning, right? What kind of a strategy top level करेगा, what kind of a strategy business level करेगा, what kind of a strategy functional level करेगा, right? Planning भी हो गई. Chapter number 7 formed the base of implementation. स्ट्रैटेजी बन गई, मेरे को समझ आ गया स्ट्रैटेजी क्या बनानी है, एनालिसिस हो गया. Chapter number 7 was telling a relationship between organizational structure and strategy, right? If your strategy changes, if you're building a strategy, it is very important to have a matching organizational structure, right? आपकी strategy से your organizational structure should match. That is what chapter number 7 explained. We studied different structures: simple structure, network structure, hourglass, SBU, divisional, multidivisional, functional structure, right? We studied about corporate culture. We studied about different concepts: entrepreneur, intrapreneur, right? So we studied about these concepts which form the base of strategy. Strategy को बनाने के लिए एक organization का shape भी तो वैसा होना चाहिए, right? If I can put it in simple fashion is, if you want to be a sports person, you have to be fit, right? आपको ओलंपिक्स में जाना है तो आप ऐसे मोटे ताजे होके नहीं जा सकते. That is not the right thing to do. आपकी strategy will not match with your structure. Similarly for a business, when you're going for a strategy, you have to plan your structure accordingly. If you're going to become a sumo fighter, तो आपको मोटा होना ही पड़ेगा, right? If you're planning कि मैं next year sumo fighter बन जाऊंगा, जापान जाके मुझे sumo fight करनी है, your structure should be fat and broad, right? That then your strategy and plans will match. But if you say नहीं मुझे athletics में जाना है, I want to be an athlete, right? In the Olympics, in the next Olympics, I want to be an athlete. You will have to create your body structure accordingly. Same thing happens with strategy. आपको जो strategy plan है, आपको जो vision mission है, उससे आपका organization structure should match. Chapter number 7. And today we will start with chapter number 8, which is telling me how to implement all this, how to use all this, how I've done this, but अब इसको company में करूं कैसे? How do I implement it and how do I control it कि मैं जो चाह रहा हूं वही हो, right? How do I implement these strategies in my company and how do I control, how do I ensure that what I plan, what I want to do, that people are doing that, my company is achieving what I want to achieve. Chapter number 8 is what we have reached after all this tapasya. Okay, cool. What all will we study in this particular chapter, right? इस chapter में हमने पढ़ना क्या क्या है? What are the different concepts we will cover in this chapter? Number 1, very important, we will study about interrelationship between strategy formulation and implementation, right? Strategy form करते हुए, how do I create? When I'm planning, I should side by side also look at the practical aspect, right? Strategy formulation and implementation का interrelationship is very simple. Logic है, right? You should formulate a strategy which is practically possible. In simplest, अभी इसको पूरे deep में पढ़ेंगे, but the logic is make plans which you can execute, right? Simple है. I want to study 16 hours in a day without break. Not possible. Your strategy formulation is not matching with your implementation. In the last 18 years, you have not studied more than 6 hours in a day. I'm just giving an example. And today you plan कि अब तो 16 घंटे पढ़ेंगे एक दिन, right? Your strategy formulation is not matching with your implementation, and that is going to be a problem. Similar for a business, you look at your business which is growing at, let's say, 5%, and you say कि नहीं यार 5% से मजा नहीं आ रहा. This year I want to double my operations. Not possible. It will become very tough. It will become very complex. आपकी चलती हुई कंपनी 5% कमा रही है. Now your ambition is सब कुछ डबल कर देंगे एक साल में. Not possible, right? Even if it is possible, it might be very difficult on your resources, on your capital, on your people working in the company, on your top management, on meeting targets. Problems आएंगी, scale up नहीं हो पाएगा, right? So you have to form a strategy while also being aware of how to implement that, or whether you can implement that or not. Okay. Then we'll also study about strategic change, right? Strategic change क्या होता है, right? How do you bring about a change? When is change important and why is change important? Then we'll study about strategic control. How do you control implementation? How do you control a strategy in the company, right? Then your strategy audit. आपने कंट्रोल कर लिया, सब कर लिया. कंट्रोल करने का एक तरीका है strategy audit, right? कंट्रोल करने का एक तरीका है स्ट्रैटेजी ऑडिट. We'll study that in depth. What is it? करते क्या है इसमें, right? Then we have business process re-engineering, right? This is a very important concept. A lot of questions come in examination from this. Simple terms में क्या है? Business process re-engineering means doing a particular process from the scratch again, right? That is called business process re-engineering. Doing a particular process in your business from scratch. That is called business process re-engineering. दोबारा से from zero level you start again a particular process, not the business, a particular process in the company, right? आपका पूरा सब कुछ हो गया. What is your process is एक simple process. Classic example is car making only, right? So how you paint your cars, that particular process आप पूरा करो नहीं यार ये पुराना तरीका है. I want to do it in a new way. So you start from the very scratch. That is business process re-engineering. And finally, we'll understand a concept called benchmarking. Again, a lot of questions from benchmarking keep coming in the examinations, which is benchmarking means, I call this as Sharma ji ka beta, right? Benchmarking is your Sharma ji ka beta. I always keep saying that because it means comparing your business, your processes, your strategy with that of the competitors and finding out ki hum better hain ya wo. If they are better, we learn from them. If we are better, we enjoy competitive advantage, right? So benchmarking is what we'll also study in this chapter. Okay, cool. Let us start with the first concept, which is strategy implementation. Strategy implementation का क्या मतलब है, right? You need to understand that strategy is not synonymous with the long-term plan, right? Strategy का मतलब ये नहीं है कि what is your long-term plan. Strategy, you remember from chapter 1, it is an ongoing activity, right? It is an ongoing activity. That is, you have to remember always. Keyword, right? Your strategy is an ongoing activity. It is not a one-time long-term plan. Strategy is not a one-time long-term plan. It is an ongoing, always active activity, right? That a business has to do. While a series of strategic moves may be planned, but competitors' actions, right, will mean the actual moves will have to be modified. Why is it ongoing? Because even if you say कि नहीं यार long-term plan तो हमने बना लिया, this is what I want to achieve, this is how I want to achieve it, that is strategy. Agreed, that is strategy. But what happens, how competitors react, how the environment changes, right? सब कुछ change भी तो हो सकता है, तो आपका long-term plan तो एकदम zero हो जाएगा, right? Your long-term plan will become एकदम zero if you do not keep reviewing it, if you do not keep analyzing your long-term plan as well. And that is what strategy is. Strategy is basically an ongoing plan. It is not a one-time long-term plan. It is an ongoing activity, right? We have studied this in chapter 1. We are back in chapter 8 so that everything falls into place. कि हम पढ़ क्या रहे. Everything matches what we have studied. The concepts remain the same, right? The strategy is not a one-time long-term plan. It is an ongoing process. Okay, cool. Now, strategy implementation is a managerial exercise. Okay, it is a managerial exercise. That means implementation is done by managers, right? Implementation, this might come as a question. Implementation is done by managers. It's a managerial exercise concerned with translating strategic decisions into actions. Simple है. जो decisions corporate level पे लिए गए हैं, the decisions, the plans that have been made already, the strategic implementation is a work of converting that into real actions for the business, and that is what strategy implementation is. It's a managerial exercise, right? It presupposes that strategic choice was made considering feasibility and acceptability. What does this mean? जो मैं आपको अभी समझा रहा था, this is exactly that thing. Strategy implementation assume कर लेता है that strategy was formulated based on logic, based on practical feasibility and acceptability. कि हाँ, हम 6 घंटे पढ़ते थे पिछले 18 साल में. We have my आदत, my behavior, what I'm used to is studying for 6 hours. My new strategy is I'll study for 8 hours, right? So it is basically ठीक है, कर सकते हैं, possible है, it's feasible, it's acceptable, right? It is not like 6 से सीधा 16 hours पढ़ेंगे अब तो. So it presupposes, strategy implementation presupposes that जो formulation of strategy that is done basis logic based on practicality, feasibility, and acceptability, right? Now, implementation requires supervision. Implementation basically require, क्योंकि managerial activity है, तो मैनेजर का काम होता है सुपरवाइज करना. मैनेजर का तो काम होता है टू सुपरवाइज थिंग्स, राइट? सो मैनेजरियल एक्सरसाइज टू सुपरवाइज व्हाट? To supervise what? One, allocation of resources, right? You have to analyze, you have to supervise allocation of resources to new course of action will be need and undertaken. कि कितने पैसे, जब फाइनेंस वाला will identify what money will allocated कहाँ पे, प्रोडक्शन वाला will find allocation of resources, रॉ मटेरियल कहाँ से जाएगा, सेल्स वाला will allocate resources कि मेरे को नॉर्थ इंडिया में ज्यादा बेचना है, और do I want to sell more in साउथ इंडिया, do I want to sell more in ईस्ट, west, northeast, where do I want to sell my stuff? I need to allocate my resources. तो मेरे सेल्स वाले लोग ज्यादा नॉर्थ में रहेंगे या सेल्स वाले लोग ज्यादा साउथ में रहेंगे, राइट? एलोकेशन ऑफ रिसोर्सेज. Second is need for adapting the organization structure to handle the new activities, right? Adapting to the organizational structure is also what they have to supervise, that people are adhering to the system, right? That people are adhering to the system is also what a manager does. Now think about this. What happens is, we were doing divisional structure, right? या फिर matrix structure लेते हैं, right? We had a matrix structure जहाँ पे a particular person was reporting to two people, right? Matrix structure में क्या हो रहा था, that a particular person, let's say यहाँ पे this finance folk, this is your finance के function, this is your department A, right? This is department X, this is department Z, this is marketing, this is sales, this is let's say production, and this is your quality control. Okay, so this person in finance is reporting to the finance head and also to the division A ka head, right? He or she is reporting to two people. Now the manager's exercise is to supervise. The manager's exercise is also to supervise that people are adapting to the organizational structure. ऐसा ना हो this person is only reporting to this person and वो कह रहा है नहीं मेरे को इसकी नहीं सुननी, I don't want to talk to this guy, I don't want to report to this guy, right? I will only talk to, because मैं finance का हूँ, मैं अपने सिर्फ finance, I will just talk to my finance leader, I'm not concerned about the business leader. Okay, that should not happen. Or everyone has to adapt to the organization structure. Everyone has to adapt to the organization structure, and that is what a manager has to supervise. Right? That is what forms part of strategy implementation, right? Strategy implementation में आप allocation of resources ठीक हो रहे हैं नहीं, you have to supervise. You are not there decide हो चुका है, you're just converting that into actions. Decision ले चुके हैं लोग, decisions are made at different 3, like chapter 4, 5, 6 में decision हम ले चुके हैं. Corporate level, business level, and functional level decisions have been taken. We're just implementing. You have to supervise. जो plan हुआ है, allocation of resources is done basis on plan, and people are adapting to the organizational structure that was created in chapter 7, right? So what the organizational structure was created, people are adapting to that as well. You're not taking decisions here. Be very careful. Allocation of resources and organizational structure का decision नहीं ले रहे हैं. You just have to supervise that what is planned is actually being taken care of, is actually happening in the company, right? That is what implementation is. It is supervision. यही keyword है. If your question comes, let's say I am supervising the allocation of resources, what should I do? Like what is the particular stage in strategy I'm doing, right? You will think कि अच्छा allocation of resources पढ़ ले, ये तो मतलब formulation होगा, तो business level, ये तो corporate level करता है, allocation of resources तो corporate level करता है, so this is corporate level strategy. No, you're supervising. Word आ गया supervising, that means सीधा strategy implementation answer हो जाना चाहिए, right? This is supervision. सीधा go and identify. ठीक है, supervision तो strategy implementation में होता है, decision making corporate level पे होता है, right? That is how you have to study and understand the question, the keywords. Okay, cool. Now let us understand the relationship between your strategy implementation and formulation, right? That is what I told you. Simple words में practical होना चाहिए, feasible होना चाहिए, acceptable होना चाहिए. ज़्यादा ही hero नहीं बनना चाहिए, right? Strategy formulation, when you're formulating a strategy, ज़्यादा hero नहीं बनना चाहिए. You should be practical. You should be feasible. It should be doable by the company, right? Let us understand this in depth very quickly, right? A company will be successful only when the strategy formulation is sound, right? And strategy implementation is proper. Sound means इसमें logic है, right? If your strategy formulation is based on logic, right? Logical है, plus your implementation is proper. You implement, you supervise, you adapt, your allocation of resources is done in the right way, only then your company will be successful. Only then your company will be successful when strategy formulation is sound, is logical, and your implementation is proper. Okay. Only then your business will be successful. Only then your business can be really successful. Cool. Okay. To understand this in a better way, we have a matrix, we have something of a graph or a chart to understand. जब आपकी implementation, and this is your formulation, okay, this is your implementation, this is your formulation, right? When यहाँ पे कह रहे when strategy formulation is sound, implementation is proper, you will be successful. Now what if my formulation is flawed, right? And my implementation is also weak? What will happen? You tell me. Study the graph carefully, study this matrix carefully, and tell me if my strategy formulation, how I formulate, how I plan, how I develop my strategy is flawed. Flawed means it has a lot of errors, it is incorrect, there is no logic in it, right? Strategy flawed means a lot of errors, a lot of problems, it is illogical, right? So strategy formulation is flawed and my implementation is also weak, right? So what will happen? Logic, just look, don't look at the PPT on the left hand side. Think from a normal logic perspective. अगर आपकी planning incorrect है and your implementation is also weak, what will happen to your business? What will happen to your business? Just put logic. Your planning is improper, logic nahi hai, right? C, I know it is going to be C. No, I understand, everyone, I understand it's going to be C. But C का मतलब क्या है? What will happen? What will happen? C होगा, मुझे समझ आ गया. But business की condition क्या होगी? Whether it will be successful, whether it will be not successful, it will be in a problematic situation, losses होंगे, क्या होगा business के साथ, right? If your formulation is flawed and your implementation is weak, what will happen with your business? I know it is going to be C, but C में होता क्या है? उस business की हालत क्या होगी, right? What will be the condition of the business when it is at C situation? No success, loss making, it will not work, it will not get success. That is right. Wastage of resources, unsuccessful business. Absolutely, business will go down. They will have to change the strategy. Absolutely, right? These are the right answers. And when you're in situation number C, right, आपका business will make losses, your improper utilization of wastage of resources, improper utilization of resources, all of this happens. When all of this happens, what you will have to do is you have to redesign your model and execute your readjustment, right? Execution को आपको readjust करना पड़ेगा because your implementation is weak, right? And your formulation is flawed. So you will have to redesign your model. That means you will have to formulation को आपको strong, logical बनाना पड़ेगा. You will have to make your formulation logical. That means redesigning the formulation and also readjusting your implementation from weak to excellent. आपको इसको excellent पे जाकर लेके जाना, flawed से आपको sound पे लेके जाना, right? So when you're in square C, you're making losses, your business will be unsuccessful, not able to succeed, worst condition, liquidate, not successful, loss making. That's right. What you'll do is आप अपना formulation को redesign करोगे and you will improve your implementation. what if my implementation is excellent? What if my implementation is excellent, but my strategy formulation is flawed? That means मेरी formulation बहुत weak है. My formulation is illogical, but my implementation is excellent, right? So what should I do then? What should I do then? If my business formulation, strategy formulation is flawed, but my implementation is excellent, what should I do? Quick, it's going to be easy. If my formulation is illogical, but my implementation is excellent, absolutely. Should improve your strategy, readjusting formulation, new strategy, redesign strategy, corrective actions to be taken, formulate strategy again, right? For reformation of strategy, absolutely. You have to redesign the strategy. You will be in box number D. You have to redesign the strategy, and जब strategy redesign कर लोगे, then you have to readjust your execution based on the new strategy, right? The word here is and, the word here is then, right? यहाँ पे दोनों चीजों पे ही काम करना है. यहाँ पे दोनों चीजों पे ही काम करना है. In square D, first you will redesign strategy, and based on your new strategy, you will execute, right? Based on new strategy, you will execute, because आपकी execution तो वैसे ही excellent है. So you do not need to worry or need to work on your execution. You just need to redesign your strategy, right? B box, we know when your formulation is sound and your implementation is also excellent, it is going to be successful. When your formulation is sound and your implementation is excellent, you're going to be successful. This is box number B. This is box number B, right? And square A, when your implementation is weak but your formulation is sound, right? When your implementation is only weak but आपकी strategy logical है, but आप उसको implement नहीं कर पा रहे. So what you'll do is you'll start to, a classic example is startups, right? Startups के पास formula strategy बहुत अच्छी होती है, strategy बहुत sound होती है A box में, but execution is a problem for startups, right? So if you get a question, what kind of a relationship between strategy formulation and implementation does startups or do startups face? That is square A, which means they should try to improve their implementation, because उनका formulation अच्छा है, their strategy is good. It is just about implementation. It is just about implementation because resources नहीं है. So they have to gather resources, then implement, right? And then from A box, they move to B box, because आपका formulation तो sound ही है, formulation. It is just your implementation moves from weak to excellent, and you become a successful startup. And you become a successful startup from A to B, right? Okay. This is easy, right? This is super easy. ये तो logic है पूरा. इसमें क्या पढ़ना था? ये तो logic निकला, right? Formulation is required for future action. That is right, Pratibha. You have to revise your strategy. Cool, that is answers for the previous one. Now think about these two things, okay? Twin approaches in lack of strategic direction, right? Now what does this topic mean? This topic is basically telling you that up class 12th, 11th, 12th, we are studying efficiency and effectiveness, right? Efficiency and effectiveness, right? How are these two different, and how are these so related to a strategy? We'll come to that. After 2-3 slides, we have a topic where I will refer back to this table, but let us understand these two things very simple. I've just mentioned Nietzsche, okay? Just mention Nietzsche. Read this carefully. Efficiency means to do the things right. Effectiveness means to do the right things. right? Efficiency means to do the things right, and effectiveness means to do the right things. Okay. Who will give me an example of efficiency and effectiveness? Let us see if you guys can give me an example of efficiency and effectiveness, right? Maybe I have a lot of examples, but I want you to tell me, because efficiency is to do the things right, and effectiveness means to do the right things, right? Give me an example. Think of an example of efficiency and effectiveness, right? Try not to be political, right? Refrain from using political examples. Think of any other business related, life related, your personal life related example to understand this. Give me examples of efficiency and effectiveness. Efficiency means to do the things right. Effectiveness means to do the right things. Think of an example. Tell me. Okay. I think you guys are typing. I'll wait for that. Efficiency and effectiveness. Okay, I have two examples. Let us see what those examples are. Okay, so first one is efficiency is producing units more than standard output with some defects. Okay, to do the things right. Okay, producing the highest quality or good standard quality units आप बना रहे हैं. So that is your efficiency. Okay, understood, makes sense. What about effectiveness then? Efficiency is correct plan for study, or effectiveness is working according to the plan. That is right. That is right. Efficiency means correct plan for the study to do the things right and do the right things. Ria, you just gave an example of formulation and implementation, right? What about effectiveness and efficiency? What about effectiveness and efficiency, right? First, you give me examples and then I'll give you a twist in the question. Okay. Okay. I have another one. Efficiency to do work at low cost, and effectiveness is to do in the right time, right? To do at the like within the right time, and to do at the low cost, right? That is a good example. That is what we actually want in a business. Effectiveness means producing units less than your standard output, but with no defects. We have done that, right? You have already written that. Cool. Arpita says, in revision time, we do the things right, and the time of exam, we do the right thing. You would also do the things right in examination also, right? Isn't that Arpita? You will only do the things right while revising, but you do the right thing in examination. So you won't do the things right in examination. You will do the wrong things in examination. Cheating karoge kya? Right? You see, the very funny thing about this concept is we all understand. We all understand ये कहना क्या चाह रहा है, but the examples are very confusing, right? Efficiency says completing work on time. Effectiveness says completing work appropriately. That is right. Okay. For example, we can cover one chapter in 1 hour, which is in lesser time. Efficiency, and how we got knowledge from that chapter is effectiveness. Okay. Okay. That's a very broad example, but okay. We can cover one chapter. Okay, makes sense. Now let me give you one example. Okay. Now let me give you one example and let us see. I will try to combine both of these things in a single example. Okay. I will try to solve these two things in a simple example. Okay. To do the things right and to do the right thing. Right. Okay. If let's take an example. Let's say you have fever. Okay. Let's say आपको fever हो गया, right? Let's say you have fever. What is the right thing to do? what is the right thing to do if you think you have fever? आपको 102 103 degrees का fever हो गया है, you're suffering from fever. What is the right thing to do? You tell me. What is the right thing to do? If you have fever 102 103 degrees का, what is the right thing to do? To take medicine and rest, to go to a doctor, right? To go to a doctor, absolutely. To take medicines and rest, absolutely, right? What else? Do we have people writing answers? Yes. Approaching the doctor, have medicine, visit a doctor, take rest, right? Take a doctor's advice. That is to do the right thing, right? And to do the things right. That means, now take an example. Let's say to do the right thing is, we need to rest. I'm taking an example. Rest karna hai, plus I have to take a medicine. Okay. I have to take this pill. Okay. I have to take a medicine and I have to rest. That is to do the right thing. I go and eat 5 tablets, right? मेरे को बोला गया कि आप दवाई खा लो, right? Someone tells me go and like take a dolo or take a crocin, right? I consulted a doctor. I was resting and they said up medicine low and get some rest. And came home and I ate 5 tablets of dolo. I ate 5 tablets of crocin, right? Is it the right thing to do? Is it the right thing to do? Is it the right thing to do? Right? I was I was effective, right? You understand the concept now. You focus on the concept now. I did the right thing, right? Effectiveness to do the thing. Example: when you submit in less time, efficiency be cost efficient, effective. You can be cost efficient also. You can be cost effective also. Okay, I'll come to that. That is right. But the example is right, Sneha, right? You understand the concept. You all know the concept. I know this. I know this. You understand efficiency and effectiveness kya hai. You understand that. All your examples are absolutely right. What I'm taking you to is, what I'm building a concept around is that for the same thing, you have to be efficient, you have to be effective, right? To do the right thing is to take rest and a tablet. To do the things right is to take only one tablet every, like in the morning and in the night. I cannot take 5 tablets in a single sitting, right? I'm not doing the things right. Even though I'm doing the right thing, I'm not doing it right. Even if I'm doing the right thing, I'm not doing it right, right? It will create more problems, right? आज ही ठीक होना है, आधे घंटे में ठीक होना है मुझे 5 दवाइयां खाली, right? So now you understand the concept from strategy perspective. Okay, strategy में you have to do the right things. The CEO and CFO is sitting and handling a $10 billion company. They have to be effective, they have to be efficient, they have to be effective, they have to be efficient, they have to do the right things for the business. उनको business के लिए right thing करनी है, and how they decide to do that should also be right, right? They have to do the right thing and they have to do the things right. So if business को बुखार है, if your business is undergoing a fever, take an example, your business is undergoing fever, losses हो रहे हैं, right? If your business is in losses, what is the right thing to do? The right thing to do is you understand whether we should continue or we should sell off the business, right? To do the right things. And to do the things right is उसको अच्छे पैसे पे बेचना, finding the right buyer or waiting for 6 months. जल्दी नहीं करना. Don't be in a rush. Take your time, analyze the business you need to build on, find the right sellers and find it at the right price, sell it at the right price. Okay, so that is efficiency. Effectiveness and efficiency is super. Both of these things are super important for strategy, right? In the lack of strategic direction, जब आपको पता नहीं है कि मुझे क्या करना है, when you have no clue कि strategy में को करना क्या है, just think about efficiency and effectiveness, right? This is what this concept says. This concept says when you have no strategic direction, आपको समझ नहीं आ रहा कि करना क्या चाहिए. It is simple to analyze your strategy by thinking, is it effective and is it efficient, right? If your strategy is effective and efficient, it's a good strategy. If your strategy is effective and efficient, it is a good strategy, right? You take rest, you have to take medicines, achieve effective, you understand what is the right thing to do, but do it in the right way, right? You have to do the things right as well. एक साथ दवाई नहीं खा सकते आप, right? You have to go slow. There is a right approach to do things. एक सुबह दवाई खाओगे, एक रात को दवाई खाओगे. That is efficiency, right? Absolutely. I'm giving you management example also, right? It is in losses you decide to do the right thing. To do the right thing is finding a strategy. Acha, I'll give you a classic example now. Classic example is your business is making losses again. Okay, your business is making losses. To do the right thing, Abhi, how do you identify what is the right thing to do? Let us see who can answer this. From the syllabus, ma'ams and sirs, the question is from the syllabus. Okay, the question is from the syllabus. Your business is making losses. Now you have to identify what is the right thing to do. What is the right thing to do? How do you identify what is the right thing to do? Business is making losses. How do you identify what is the right thing to do? Syllabus में से आंसर चाहिए मुझे. I want a concept. I'm talking about a concept from the syllabus. From all the previous 6 chapters, think about it. कौन से चैप्टर में हमने पढ़ा है the right thing to do? कौन से चैप्टर में पढ़ा है the right thing to do? I want answers from the syllabus now. No logic, no normal answers. I want an answer from the syllabus. Retrenchment strategy, okay. Make new strategy, turn around or withdraw. That is right. That is right. What you're telling me, right, Chaitanya, what you're telling me, or Charu, or Mem, what you're telling me is efficiency. आप मुझे बता रहे हो efficiency. To do the things right. You're telling me efficiency. I am asking effectiveness. I'm asking, आप कह रहे हो turn around कर लो, withdraw कर लो. You're telling me to do a retrenchment strategy. You're telling me to do a withdraw or a turnaround strategy. That is to do the things right. That is to do the things right. What is to do the right things? Identification. ये कैसे होती है? Right? ये कैसे होती है? How do you're telling me to what is the right, how do you do it right? So आपने decide कर लिया कि मुझे ये करना है, and then you do it the right way, right? You go and do it the right way. That is turn around करना, withdraw करना, retrenchment करना. That is doing it the right way. But how do you identify what is the right thing to do? Absolutely. Absolutely. Somebody is coming up with that. Strategic management, to plan the strategy, identify the problem, try to make the correct, trying to make it correct, right? That's what you're writing. Boys and girls, aapka answer is, what you do here is simple. There are so many ways. The concept is product life cycle, right? Then you have portfolio analysis. पोर्टफोलियो एनालिसिस करोगे आप, प्रोडक्ट लाइफ साइकिल देखोगे आप, राइट? इससे आपको क्या पता चलेगा? पोर्टफोलियो एनालिसिस, you have BCG matrix, GE matrix, stoplight, Tow's matrix, this matrix, that, Damkana, Thikana, all these matrices we have studied, right? We studied what are the different ways of analyzing, finding a strategy. What is the right thing to do the right things? What is the right thing to do? Is my business a cash cow? अच्छा, मेरे को दिख रहा है losses हो रहे हैं. Is it a dog or is it a question mark? Is it a dog or is it a question mark? ये तो मैं matrix से समझूंगा, right? So to be effective, you have to do analysis. Portfolio analysis करोगे, business analysis करोगे, you will do a product life cycle analysis. When you will identify मेरा business growth phase में है, stable है और declining है. The industry is growing and मेरा business loss बना रहा है. But is the industry growing? If you say कि to do the things right is turn around कर दो, retrenchment कर दो, बेच दो धंधा अपना. That would be the worst thing if the industry is growing. Okay, your business is making losses, but the industry is growing. You will not do retrenchment or turnaround, right? You will not do a retrenchment or a sell off of your business or liquidation of your business. What you'll do is, you might do innovation, you might do product development, you might do market penetration. Depends. To do the things right, that depends. To do the right thing is first you need to find identification. Up analysis karoge, right? If your industry is growing and your business is making losses, you say कि नहीं retrenchment कर दो, liquidation कर दो, बेच दो अपना business. What kind of efficiency is this? आप आज बिजनेस बेच दोगे, 2 years बाद जो कंपेटिटर्स इज मेकिंग 10 times द प्रॉफिट, यू विल रिपेंट फॉर योर एंटायर लाइफ कि भाई हमने सही स्ट्रैटेजी की होती तो आज हम भी 10 गुना पैसा कमाते, राइट? सो दैट इज नॉट एफिशिएंसी. सो जस्ट सेइंग कि लॉसेस हो रहे तो रिट्रेंचमेंट कर दो, लिक्विडेशन कर दो, दैट इज नॉट एफिशिएंसी. That is not what a CFO or a CEO can talk like in a board meeting, right? People will throw them out of the company. That boss, what kind of efficiency or effectiveness are you bringing in the business? जैसे ही लॉस हुआ कंपनी बंद कर दो, ये कैसी एफिशिएंसी है? यू आर नॉट इवन एनालाइजिंग व्हाट इज द राइट थिंग टू डू. हो सकता है दैट बिजनेस इज अ क्वेश्चन मार्क. यू नीड टू इन्वेस्ट मोर मनी इनटू इनोवेशन, यू नीड टू फाइट कंपटीशन. आप मार्केटिंग नहीं कर रहे हो, मे बी योर मार्केटिंग स्ट्रेटजी इज वेरी लो. योर बिजनेस इज वंडरफुल, योर बिजनेस कैन मेक प्रॉफिट्स, योर प्रोडक्ट इज एक्सीलेंट, बट आपकी मार्केटिंग वीक है, राइट? सो व्हाट यू विल डू इज, टू डू द राइट थिंग इज एनालाइजिंग what is the problem, analyzing what is the problem, and to do the things right, and you correct it, you become efficient in that. You create efficiency by doing the right thing, by doing things right, what you have to do in effectiveness, right? You analyze galat kya ho raha hai, right? This is the thing that I have to do the right things, I have to analyze the problem, that is the right thing to do. That is how you will be effective. Ek doctor effective kab hoga? Think of this, right? If you go, you have heard that joke, right? आपने वो joke सुना है probably, when the person says my leg is getting blue, right? The person goes to the doctor and says that my thighs and my legs are getting blue, right? So the doctor says, "Arey, this thing, there is blood clot," and he cuts his leg, okay? And he cuts his leg. He goes the other day and says, "मेरी दूसरी leg, my second leg is also becoming blue," right? He says, "अरे आपकी दूसरी leg में भी blood clot हो गया, there is blood clotting." He cuts the second leg also, right? And finally they find out that his jeans was like losing color, right? उसकी jeans से color होके उसकी पूरी legs were becoming blue. There was not blood clot. वो सिर्फ jeans का color छूट रहा था. So this is not effectiveness, right? The business leader, the CEO and CFO have to be effective. They have to be efficient, right? पहले problem को तो ढंग से analyze करो, then only you'll do the things right. Right? Similarly for a business, you're saying loss हो रहा है, business बंद कर दो, बेच दो, खत्म कर दो, retrench कर दो. That cannot be the right thing to do, right? That is not the right thing to do. You have to analyze and then you have to take the decision, and that is what strategy direction is. That is what strategic management is. That is what a CEO, a CFO does, right? Absolutely. That's a very old joke, right? So what we'll do is we'll quickly, it's 8:10 right now, it's 8:08, right? So what we'll do is we'll quickly take a break of 10 minutes, right? Probably you guys can also go stretch, drink something, understand this concept, try to think more on this concept, right? While we take a break of 10 minutes, and let us be back quickly, very quickly, we'll be back and do certain concepts. And then we also have to do a case scenario and 2-3 small questions, right? We'll study बहुत सारा in terms of questions, exam perspective. I have a lot of things to discuss on that. So be back quickly within 10 minutes and then we'll start again, right? All right, guys, I'll see you in 10 minutes. I'm also going and getting something to eat. All right, everyone, we are back. I'll just wait for another 1 minute so that you guys are also back. And then we'll start with the next topic. If you're back, just type in the chat box you're back so that I know that people have joined back. Okay, awesome. Thanks, Urvi. Thanks, Charu, for writing you're back. Okay, Sandeep is also back. We'll just wait for another 30-40 seconds, right? For everyone else. Awesome. Hey, Shraddha, Hina is back. Shakti is back. Chaitanya has something to tell us. Crossing the road safely is effectiveness and crossing through pedestrian crossing on the red on the signal. Like, absolutely, that's a great example. That's a great example. That's a really great example, Chaitanya. Okay, awesome. I see Riya is there, Vivek, Mevan, Pooja, Nitya, Shakti is back. Cool. So let us quickly dive into the relationship formation with strategy. Okay. The basic idea, like I was telling you, efficiency and effectiveness, right? Their relationship with strategy formulation is very simple, right? Now think about this. There is again a chart. If your efficiency is high, right? I'll change the color probably. Blue pe blue, thoda sa. I'm not feeling it is working for you guys. Chalo, red le lete. So if efficiency is high, right, and your effectiveness is also high, if your efficiency is high, your effectiveness is also high, what will happen? You will thrive. You will thrive. Thrive means you will be successful, right? You will be successful. Okay. If your efficiency is high and your effectiveness is high, you will thrive. You will be successful, right? Okay. What if your efficiency is low but your effectiveness is high? What does that mean? एफिशिएंसी लो है बट आपकी इफेक्टिवनेस हाई है. इफेक्टिवनेस का मतलब है टू डू द राइट थिंग्स. यू नो व्हाट इज द राइट थिंग टू डू बट आप उसको करते गलत तरीके से. यू नो व्हाट इज द राइट थिंग टू डू बट आप उसको करते गलत तरीके से हो. सो व्हाट विल हैपन? यू विल डाई क्विकली. यू विल डाई क्विकली, राइट? Efficiency means to do the things right. सही तरीके से करना is efficiency. सही चीज करना is effectiveness. Okay, if you can understand in Hindi is effectiveness is सही चीज करना, efficiency सही तरीके से करना. So if you know what is the right thing to do, that is high, but you do it in the wrong way, you will die quickly, right? Oh, what I'm saying, I'm sorry, you survive. Like galat, I'm just a little lost. What is it? You will survive. You will survive. So if your effectiveness is high, you know you will survive. Basically because you know what is the right thing to do, right? Basically because you know what is the right thing to do. हाँ, absolutely. आपके आपका ब्लॉग अलग होगा. ये स्टडी मटेरियल से आई हैव अ डिफरेंट थिंग्स. आपके पिछली क्लासेस में ऑल्सो माई ग्राफ्स आर लिटिल डिफरेंट फ्रॉम स्टडी मटेरियल. कुछ अलग दिखेगा आपको, राइट? सो इफ योर इफेक्टिवनेस इज हाई एंड योर एफिशिएंसी इज लो, व्हाट विल हैपन? यू विल सर्वाइव. दोनों ही चीजें लो होंगी, यू विल डाई क्विकली, राइट? एंड एफिशिएंसी अगर हाई है एंड योर इफेक्टिवनेस इज लो, यू विल डाई स्लोली. व्हाट डज दिस मीन? What does this mean? Let us come to a more business. Let us come to a more business perspective, right? Square one में क्या होगा? Square one में क्या होगा? You will die slowly. That means basically you're doomed. Basically slowly and steadily, क्योंकि आप कर तो सही तरीके से रहे हो बट आप जो कर रहे हो वो गलत है, right? What you're doing is, right? What you're doing is basically you will die slowly, right? You will die slowly का मतलब है that you will actually be basically आप कर सही चीज रहे, कर सही तरीके से रहे हैं, but you're doing the wrong thing, right? You're doing it in the right way, but you're doing the wrong thing. Okay. Okay, so I have a correction here. Probably people are, let me check that. Okay, it's the 4. Give me 1 second. We'll quickly check. No hesitation and shame in saying that I'm wrong. I can be wrong, right? But I'm happy to correct things right away. Okay, let us see, let us see, let us see. Very quickly. Get it. Okay, okay. आगे पीछे कर दिया मैंने. No worries, no worries. Basically, I was saying the right thing. That means my concept is clear. So probably just note it down. वरना आपके study material में भी होगा. I'll correct it as well, right? So basically, यहाँ पे is survive, right? This is your survive, and this is your die quickly, correct? यहाँ पे you will die quickly. That is exactly what it is. Basically, I was saying the right thing. I also got confused then. No worries. अभी correction हो गई. The concept should be right. Okay. Now let us understand the concept now. Abhi it's right, correct? Thanks for everyone who is giving me corrections. Probably that is how we all learn and grow. Cool. So what is happening here is, if you're efficient, you're doing it the right way, but you're doing the wrong thing, you will die slowly. If you're doing it the right way, but you're doing the wrong thing, you will die slowly, right? What if you're doing the right thing, but you're doing the right thing, right? What if you're doing the right thing? Probably अभी भी कुछ गलत लग रहा है मुझे तो, right? Then it makes sense. Then it makes sense. Okay, I have a doubt here. What is the question? Okay. High effectiveness is high. You're effective and you're efficient, you will thrive, right? Correct. My point was, ठीक यार, you guys are confusing me. Why are you doing this to me? Right? It's a different thing. Okay, I get it. What is confusing you guys is simple. है logic लगाओ यार, logic है, ठीक है? So what is happening is, if you're efficient, एक second इसको भूलिए, right? So what is happening is, you're referring the study material, but this is different, sir. This is different. यहाँ पे inefficient और efficient का ऊपर नीचे, इधर high है, sir. आप मेरे को भी confuse कर रहे हैं, खुद भी confuse हो रहे हैं. Let us understand this very quickly. लॉजिक लगाइए. ओके, सो यूर एफिशिएंट एंड यूर इफेक्टिव. तो क्या होगा? थिंक अबाउट दिस लॉजिक. स्टडी मटेरियल को भी छोड़ दो, इसको भी छोड़ दो एक सेकंड के लिए. अंडरस्टैंड इट फ्रॉम अ लॉजिक पर्सपेक्टिव, राइट? You are efficient and you are also effective. What will happen? You're efficient and you're also effective. So what will happen? If you're efficient and you're effective, you will thrive, correct? If you're efficient and you are effective, you will thrive. आप successful हो गए, both the things you are, right? But if you're inefficient, right? If you're inefficient but still effective, what will happen? What will happen? You're inefficient and still effective. What will happen? You tell me. Okay. Logic, sir, logic. आप एक बारी ग्राफ को छोड़ दो, still you will be able to answer these questions. Absolutely, the graph was correct. Absolutely, that is what I'm saying. My chart is correct. It's just different. With low and high, the concept is different. Correct. Logic, एक बार इसको छोड़ दीजिए. I'm telling you, just ignore this graph. Think from a logic perspective. Okay. अभी क्या होगा? When you're effective and efficient, you will survive. So you survive, right? You thrive, you survive. You thrive, you successful हो गए. आप efficient है. You're doing the right thing. You're doing it in the right way. You will be successful, right? If you're doing the right thing but you're doing it wrong, what will happen? If you're doing the right thing but you're doing it wrong, what will happen? Graph को छोड़ दो. Graph को छोड़ दो. Think from a logic. If you're doing the right thing but you're doing it in the wrong way, right? You're doing the right thing, but you're doing it the wrong way. What will happen? If you're doing the right thing, but you're doing it in the wrong way, what will happen? You're doing the right thing, but in the wrong way, what will happen? You will die slowly, right? You will die slowly. आप ठीक चीज कर रहे हो पर गलत तरीके से कर रहे हो. So slowly and steadily you will die, right? But if you're doing the wrong thing but in the right way, what will happen? If you're doing the wrong thing but in the right way, what will happen? If you're doing the wrong thing but in the right way, what will happen? You're doing the wrong thing but in the right way. You tell me. Logic. You're doing the right thing in the right way, you will be successful. You are doing the right thing but in the wrong way, you will die slowly, right? But if you're doing the wrong thing in the right way, you're doing the wrong thing in the right way, what will happen? Again, use logic. You're doing the wrong thing but in the right way. तो क्या होगा? तो क्या होगा? You will die quickly, right? Because आप काम ही गलत कर रहे हो. You're doing the wrong thing, but in the right way, you will die quickly. But if you do the right thing in a wrong way, what will happen? Right? Aapki effectiveness is high and your efficiency is low. What will happen? You will still survive. You will still survive. Why will that happen? You as a business will still survive, right? You as a business will still survive. Absolutely, absolutely. What will happen? See, लॉजिक है. आप ग्राफ को एक बार छोड़ भी देंगे ना, बिकॉज graphs might confuse you. Think from a logic perspective. I'm doing the right thing. That is what our parents say, right? That is what our parents say. गलत काम करोगे तो ज्यादा दूर तक नहीं जाओगे. That is what is this, right? That is what आप कर तो सही चीज रहे हो probably, right? What you'll do is आप survive तो कर जाओगे. So probably what will happen is you survive तो कर जाओगे, but ज्यादा देर तक नहीं कर पाओगे, right? Or probably you have to be good at both the things, right? In square 2, you will get a competitive position. In square 1, you will be doomed, right? In square 3, ये तो game over है. This is game over. You will die anyway, right? In square 4, what happens is you will survive, but आपको बहुत मेहनत लगेगी. You will need a lot of efforts to survive in the business. When your effectiveness is high, but you are not efficient, right? When your effectiveness is high, but you're not efficient, right? When your effectiveness is high and you're not efficient, what will happen? आप survive तो कर जाओगे, but आपको बहुत effort लगेगा. Your business will be okay, will grow at a peak speed, will grow at a decent speed, but you will never be a very successful, thriving business. You will just always survive because you're highly effective, but your efficiency is low. You're highly effective, but your efficiency is low. You will survive, but very slow growth, right? Absolutely, absolutely. If you do the right thing in the right way, obviously you will be successful, right? Now think about this. आपका efficiency जब भी low होगा, right? Efficiency जब भी low होगा, तो आप क्या हो? Like look at this. Your effectiveness. What is effectiveness? Logic I'll give you very simple. आपको पूरा clarity हो जाएगा. You will get full clarity. Okay? You will get full clarity. Effectiveness, right? Effectiveness क्या है? Effectiveness क्या है? To do the right thing. Why is it so important to do the right thing, right? Why is it so important to do the right thing, right? Why is it so important to do the right thing? I'll tell you why. Because if you do not do the right thing, you'll anyway be doomed, right? If you do not do the right thing, you will anyway be doomed. आपको problem आएगी ही आएगी if you're not doing the right thing. Even if you do it in the right way, even if you do not do it in the right way. अगर आप चीज ही गलत कर रहे हैं, that is going to be a problem for your business, right? If you're ineffective, you're anyway going to face problems in the business, right? Simple logic है. जब आप ineffective होंगे, you're anyway going to face problems in the business, and that is what the relationship with strategy formulation is. That is what its relationship of effectiveness and efficiency with strategy formulation, with strategy implementation, is that doing the right thing in the right way is super duper important, right? Only then you can be successful, only then you can thrive in your business, right? Absolutely. I'm telling you, this concept is again coming in आगे वाली slides as well. You'll get a different perspective on this, right? You'll get a different perspective on the coming slides. We'll discuss that. There is a slide that will talk again about efficiency and effectiveness as a core thing for a particular concept. I'll come to that as well, right? तभी और clarity आ जाएगी, तभी और clarity आ जाएगी. But let us understand about change now, okay? That effectiveness and efficiency में और clarity आ जाएगी. Be assured, I'll do that. I'll solve that, right? अभी तक I've solved all the doubts. This also I'll solve for you. Cool. Now let us focus on change. Let us quickly focus on change because otherwise मेरे को आज case scenario भी करना है. So I want to cover that as well. एक बारी ये topic करेंगे, then we'll try to get into questions as well. Okay. So change comes through how? How will change come? Change comes through implementation and evaluation, not through overemphasizing strategic planning. ये तो हम सबके साथ होता है, right? This is what we all do. Overthinking से change नहीं आता. It comes through actions and evaluation, right? You can overthinking से change नहीं आएगा. You will never be able to change things by overthinking, by overemphasizing on planning, right? How will change come? Change will come through implementation. Change will come through evaluation, right? Change will come through implementation. Change will come through evaluation. It is not going to come through overthinking and over planning, right? It is always going to come through implementation and evaluation, right? Okay. Difference between formulation and implementation. ये देखो आ गया यहाँ पे effectiveness and efficiency. This is what I'm saying. Abhi, from a business perspective, you'll understand this. Strategy formulation focuses on effectiveness. Strategy implementation focuses on efficiency. Your strategy implementation focuses on efficiency. Strategy formulation basis effectiveness. Formulation में doing the right thing. Effectiveness, right? Doing the right thing. Strategy formulation is effectiveness. Strategy implementation is efficiency, right? Is efficiency. Now go to the previous graph. Formulation अच्छी है, implementation weak है, क्या होगा? Implementation अच्छी है, formulation weak है, क्या होगा? Now put that thing in effectiveness and efficiency. Implementation को change कर दो efficiency से, formulation को change कर दो effectiveness से, and the graph becomes easy, right? Try that. Try doing that. आपका जो effectiveness and efficiency का graph है, you just use this formulation and implementation वाला graph, okay? Change formulation with effectiveness, change efficiency with implementation, and solve हो जाएगा सब कुछ, right? You'll get a clarity. But think about this. Strategy formulation talks about effectiveness. When I talk about effectiveness, to do the right thing, it calls for intellectual process. इसमें दिमाग लगता है, right? Strategy formulation is more of an intellectual process where you have to develop a thought process. You have to take decisions. You have to work on your thought process, your mindset, changing your thinking through, analyzing, analytical stuff चाहिए. You need intellectual process. You should have a lot of knowledge. You should have a lot of analysis. You should have analytical skills, decision making. बहुत ही intellectual process है strategy formulation, right? It requires intuitive and analytical skills. Intuitive means intuition होना कि आगे क्या हो सकता है. You should be able to analyze what is going to happen in the future. ये करूंगा तो क्या होगा, वो करूंगा तो क्या होगा. That skill set is required in strategy formulation, right? It is basically generally done at top level. Strategy formulation is basically generally done at top level, and it requires a lot of intuitive, far-fetched, आगे क्या होने वाला है, इससे क्या होगा, scenario basis. You should know A करूंगा तो B होगा, B करूंगा तो C होगा, इससे ये होगा, these all people will be affected, this is what my business will be affected, यहाँ से ये होगा, वहां से वहाँ होगा. Intuitive, analytical skill चाहिए for strategy formulation. It's an intellectual process focused on effectiveness. Okay. Whereas strategy implementation is an efficiency and operations process. यहाँ पे आपको इंटेलेक्चुअल से ज्यादा ऑपरेशन प्रोसेस आना चाहिए. यू शुड नो हाउ थिंग्स आर डन, राइट? what is to be done is यहाँ पे how is that going to be done is strategy implementation, right? What is to be done requires a lot of thought process, lots of intellect, but how it is that to be done, you need to know processes, right? What is to be done? I want to make the cheapest car for India. I want to be a top leader for the business. उसके लिए मुझे cheapest car लेनी पड़ेगी. cheapest car के लिए मुझे cheapest raw material चाहिए. Intellectual process, thought process, strategy बन रही है. सबसे सस्ता, where will I get the cheapest raw material? How will I make a small car? How will I fit a family in a small car? All of this is operational process, and that is strategy implementation, right? Absolutely. That is right, Ria. Your statement is absolutely right. Okay. So strategy implementation requires leadership skills, right? Motivation and leadership skills यहाँ पे ज़्यादा चाहिए. You need less of analytical and intuitive skills. You need more of motivational and leadership skills, right? You need more of motivational and leadership skills and less of intuitive and analytical skills. The strategy implementation, okay? It is basically generally done by middle and lower level. टॉप लेवल देखता है फॉर्मुलेशन, मिडिल एंड लोअर लेवल देखता है आपका इम्प्लीमेंटेशन, राइट? एफिशिएंसी, इफेक्टिवनेस. फॉर्मुलेशन इज इफेक्टिवनेस, डूइंग द राइट थिंग्स. Implementation is efficiency, doing the things in the right way, right? That is efficiency. Cool. Super simple. Okay. Now, what is the difference between these two? Let's dig in थोड़ा सा और. ये टेबल से मुझे समझ आ गया कि अच्छा फॉर्मुलेशन और इम्प्लीमेंटेशन का बेसिक फर्क क्या है. टॉप लेवल करता है फॉर्मुलेशन, मिडिल एंड लोअर लेवल करता है इम्प्लीमेंटेशन. व्हाट एल्स? Strategy formulation concepts and tools do not differ greatly for small, large, or non-profit, for-profit organization, right? Very important. But strategy implementation varies substantially, right? What does this mean? जो आपका strategy formulation है, that does not generally differ a lot for small company or a large company or a not-for-profit or for-profit organization, right? गवर्नमेंट को भी SWOT एनालिसिस करना है, ठीक है? हॉस्पिटल को भी SWOT एनालिसिस करना है, आपको एनालिटिकल करना है, BCG मैट्रिक्स, GE मैट्रिक्स, प्रोडक्ट डेवलपमेंट, मार्केट पेनिट्रेशन. स्मॉल बिजनेस को भी करना है, लार्ज बिजनेस को भी करना है, फॉर प्रॉफिट को भी करना है, नॉट फॉर प्रॉफिट को भी करना है, राइट? स्ट्रैटेजी फॉर्मुलेशन के कॉन्सेप्ट्स एंड टूल्स, strategy formulations, concepts and tools, they do not differ generally for large, small, for-profit, not-for-profit organizations. But implementation तो सबकी अलग होती है, right? Based on types and size. Small company, large company, for-profit, not-for-profit, government organization, NGO, सबकी implementation strategy is very different. But the basic idea of strategy, strategy development, strategy formulation, सबका almost same होता है. It is different. Obviously it is different, but not very different. ऐसा कोई नया चीज नहीं आती है. जबकि implementation, it varies a lot. Okay. So formulation is not greatly so much different for based on the size and type of organization, but implementation is. Okay. Now, strategy formulation is primarily an entrepreneurial activity. Okay. What happens is entrepreneurial activity का मतलब है because it requires risk taking, decision making. इसमें decision making आ रहा है, decision making कर रहे हैं, आप risk ले रहे हैं, right? You're analyzing, your analytical and intuitive skills लग रहे हैं, top management कर रहा है, right? So it is more like an entrepreneurial activity based on decision making, right? That is why it's more of an entrepreneurial. Why implementation is more of administrative task, right? इम्प्लीमेंटेशन में ज्यादातर तो एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव काम कर रहा है. ये जो आइडिया, ये जो डिसीजन ले रहे हैं, उनका एग्जीक्यूशन इज इम्प्लीमेंटेशन, राइट? सो स्ट्रेटेजी फॉर्मुलेशन इज मोर ऑफ एंटरप्रेन्योरियल, व्हाइल इम्प्लीमेंटेशन इज मोर ऑफ एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव, राइट? दैट इज मोर ऑफ एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव, converting those decisions, converting those ideas, converting those things into actions for the company is implementation, right? Okay. Now, two very important things, right? Two very important things. अभी हम बात कर रहे हैं formulation and implementation. We are talking about formulation and implementation. There can be two types of linkages, right? Two types of linkages that can happen between these two phases of strategic management. Formulation and implementation के बीच में दो linkage हो सकती हैं, right? There is one is called forward linkage and second is called backward linkage, right? What is forward linkage? Forward linkage deals with impact of strategy formulation on strategy implementation, right? स्ट्रैटेजी फॉर्मुलेशन का इम्पैक्ट जब स्ट्रैटेजी इम्प्लीमेंटेशन पे पड़ता है, स्ट्रैटेजी फॉर्मुलेशन का इम्पैक्ट जब स्ट्रैटेजी इम्प्लीमेंटेशन पे पड़ता है, दैट इज फॉरवर्ड लिंकेज. इट इज फॉरवर्ड लिंकेज. बट व्हेन इट इज रिवर्स, स्ट्रैटेजी इम्प्लीमेंटेशन का इम्पैक्ट happens or there is an impact of strategy implementation on strategy formulation, it is backward linkage. It is backward linkage, right? Backward linkage are concerned with impact in the opposite direction. Formulation, implementation. Ideal scenario क्या है? आप पहले formulate करते हैं, then you implement, right? So when your formulation is impacting implementation, that is forward linkage, which is general, right? Ideal scenario में ये होता है. Ideal scenario is always forward linkage. Ideal scenario is always forward linkage that your strategy formulation affects or impacts your strategy implementation. But कभी कभी क्या होता है, there is backward linkage also. Backward linkage means when your implementation affects your formulation, right? For example, changes are required in organization structure. The style of leadership has to be adapted to the needs of the modified or new strategies, right? Now think about this. We studied leadership style. You remember transformational and transactional. You understand transformational and transactional. अभी forward linkage में क्या होगा? Forward linkage में क्या होगा? When we are implementing a strategy, right? When we are formulating a strategy, when we are formulating, जब हम एक strategy बना रहे हैं, so we'll think more of implement कैसे करें, right? जब आप formulate करेंगे, आप थोड़ा बहुत सोचेंगे कि अच्छा इसको ऐसे implement कर लेंगे. This is how this is easy to implement. That is why we are formulating this strategy. Sometimes what will happen is while you're implementing, you find out कि boss ये तो हो ही नहीं सकता. Then there is a backward linkage. Right? Now I'll give you an example. Classic example. Again, I'll come to the personal examples. My favorite. आप पढ़ रहे हैं, right? You are a student. I'll give you a very simple student example. Okay. Forward linkage क्या है? First, we'll understand with an example. Forward linkage क्या है? Forward linkage is simple. What is happening? आप जो when you're formulating a strategy, you are saying that I will study 2 hours per subject in a day. 5 subjects, 10 घंटे पढ़ाई करेंगे. So 2 hours per subject we'll study. Okay. So what will happen is you're formulating a strategy and then you're thinking of implementation. ठीक है, 2 घंटे ये, 2 घंटे ये, 2 घंटे ये, 2 घंटे ये. Okay. This is a forward linkage. You start doing this. You start your first subject is, let's say, accounting. Okay, you say कि नहीं, I have to do financial reporting, I have to do FR, I have to do accounting. Let me study accounting as the first subject in first 2 hour slot. Abhi you go and start studying accountancy and you find out, boss, एक question को करने में 45-50 minutes लग रहे हैं. And I had to complete 5 questions today in 2 hours. Not possible. I will have to change this strategy. Accounts ko I will have to give 4 hours and I will have to give less hours to a theoretical subject or subject in which I am more confident, be it practical or theory. जिसमें I'm more confident, उसमें I have to give less hours, and in the subject which I'm not confident, I have to give more hours. So that is a backward linkage. When you started implementing, now it is impacting your formulation. अब formulation change करने आपको जाना पड़ रहा है based on implementation, right? That is a backward linkage. Forward linkage क्या है? बिना implement किए हम सोचते हैं हाँ 2 घंटे में पढ़ लेंगे, 2 घंटे ही तो है, 2 घंटे में accounts करेंगे, 2 घंटे audit करेंगे, 2 घंटे हम लोग SM करेंगे, 2 घंटे हम लोग economics करेंगे, 2 घंटे business करेंगे, हो जाएगा. ठीक है, 10 घंटे हो गए पूरे हैं. You start doing it and you find out, boss, accountancy में 4 घंटे लग गए, SM पढ़ने में 3 घंटे लग गए, 2 घंटे तो सब, my all formulation is बर्बाद now. So that is a backward linkage. You go back and then you say, nahi, एक दिन में 2 ही सब्जेक्ट करेंगे 5-5 घंटे, एंड देन आई डू इट ओवर अ वीक कि 3 दिन में 5 सब्जेक्ट कवर करेंगे, हर रोज सिर्फ 2 सब्जेक्ट पढ़ेंगे 4-4 घंटे. दैट इज द राइट स्ट्रेटजी फॉर मी, राइट? So that is a backward linkage. That is a backward linkage. You understand this concept, right? That example helps in understanding it. Can we move on to the next thing? We'll just take 5-7 minutes on the next topic probably. या फिर सीधा questions पे चलेंगे. We'll study questions more today. Right? Okay. I think that example helps. Cool. Very quickly, let us understand the issues in strategy implementation, right? Implementation karte hue, this chapter is about implementation and control. Formulation we have already studied in previous chapters, right? So what are the kind of problems you can face, or a top management or a business or a middle level management can face? Okay. Now tell me, these problems of implementation will be faced by top management or middle and lower level management? You tell me. The problems in strategy implementation will be faced by top management, or will it be faced by middle and lower management? Ria, I can see. Let's see if I can do the right thing. Actually, to do the right plan. Yes, I said your statement is absolutely right. The plan is working. That's a question mark. So probably yes, do the right things. Actual working efficiency, do the thing right. Is the plan working? Absolutely, yes. That is what the book also says, right? But you tell me, problems in strategy implementation. Problems in strategy implementation will be faced by top level managers or middle and lower level managers. किसको ज़्यादा problem आएगी implementation की time? Who will face the real issues? Top management या फिर middle and lower management? Lower and middle, middle and lower, middle and lower, middle and lower. That is absolutely right. क्योंकि implementation तो middle and lower level management करता है. That is why the issues will also come to them. The transition from strategy formulation to strategy implementation requires a shift in responsibility, right? अभी CEO, CFO ने formulate कर दी strategy. CEO, CFO ने बोला, boss, this is what my strategy is. Go and execute, go and implement. Abhi responsibility from them is now shifted to business level managers and functional level managers, right? Business level managers and functional level managers के ऊपर responsibility shift हो गई, right? Formulation हो गया, अब आप implement करिए इसे, right? Implementation problems can arise because this shift in responsibility, especially if strategy decision comes as a surprise to middle and lower managers. Generally क्या होता है, when the decisions are being made at CEO and CFO level, they do not involve business and functional people, right? वो closed doors में they take a decision and they tell them, boss, this is a new decision, you have to implement it. And then the issues start coming. कि business level managers और middle lower managers को ये surprise की तरह आता है. अरे भाई आप हमें बता तो देते कि करना क्या है, आप जैसे 3 महीने से डिसीजन ले रहे हैं, वी थॉट अभी डिसीजन लेंगे, एंड क्विकली यू आर कमिंग एंड सेइंग कि नाउ स्टार्ट वर्किंग ऑन दीस डिसीजंस, स्टार्ट वर्किंग ऑन दीस न्यू स्ट्रेटजीज, राइट? एंड दैट becomes an issue. So how do you solve this problem? You solve this problem with this is an exam में बहुत ज्यादा पूछा जाता है. It is essential that divisional and functional level managers are involved as much as possible in strategy formulation process. Okay, to not cause such an issue कि वो आपको कहे यार आपको पहले बताना चाहिए था, आपने हमें बताया नहीं, आपने हमसे तो पूछा नहीं, right? So that problem does not come in a business, in a corporation, in an organization. It should be made sure, the top level managers should make sure that divisional and functional managers should be involved in decision making, in strategy formulation as much as possible. Jitna ho sakta hai, involve these people, because at the end of the day, they have to implement the strategy. So keep them aware, keep telling them, right? So what is happening? because they have to execute it, they have to implement it. Varna they'll come back and say, हमें तो पता ही नहीं था, हम तो नहीं कर रहे, right? To solve that problem, it is essential that divisional and functional managers are involved as much as possible in strategy formulation process so that there is no problem in strategy implementation process, right? Okay. Now, what kind of issues in strategy implementation, right? Issues in strategy implementation which are to be considered in sequential manner, right? Sequential manner का क्या मतलब है? In the same sequence, right? Sequential manner. This is important. अभी strategy implementation के time, you have to consider these issues in the same order, in the given order. Project implementation, procedural, resource, structural, functional, and behavioral, right? What is this? Project implementation. पहले आप छोटे pilot पे do small projects in the company to identify the problem and analyze whether the implementation is actually working or not, right? You create procedures around it, right? SOPs बनाते हो, standard operating procedures you create. You do this. First thing is you do small projects of implementation. Project implementation करते हैं. You try certain, when you have a strategy, when you formulate a strategy, you do not try it पूरी organization में एक साथ. You do small projects. So project implementation. Then procedural implementation. You build up procedures. How do you want to implement that, right? How do you want to implement that? Process क्या है? A procedure, then B करेंगे, B से C होगा, C से D होगा, right? Procedural implementation. Then you go on to find out resource allocation, right? कि कहाँ से कितने लोग चाहिए होंगे, कितना पैसा चाहिए होगा. Like, this is what I want. This is to implement a strategy. I need this. I need 10 people. I need 20 people. I need 2 factories. I need this. I need 10 crore rupees for marketing. I need this money. I need supply chain partners. I need distributors. All these things, right? Then you go on to resource allocation. We have done. Then you do structural implementation. अभी आपने resources इकट्ठे कर लिए. Then you did a resource allocation. Then you structure that, right? यहाँ पे 10 लोग मार्केटिंग के मुझे चाहिए, मुझे 10 करोड़ रुपए चाहिए. नाउ यू स्ट्रक्चर दैट. 2 करोड़ रुपए न्यूज़पेपर की मार्केटिंग के लिए, 3 करोड़ रुपए इन्फ्लुएंसर मार्केटिंग के लिए, 5 करोड़ रुपए रेडियो मार्केटिंग और प्रिंट मीडिया और टेलीविजन मार्केटिंग के लिए चाहिए, right? I need 10 people. 3 people are in factory A, 3 people in factory B, 2 people in factory C, right? Structural implementation, right? Structure. You create structures around it. And you're creating a structure की अच्छा division A, factory A के नीचे 3 लोग हैं, factory B के नीचे 2 लोग हैं. You're creating a structure while implementing, right? Functional implementation. Functional implementation means once the structure is done, you build functions around it, right? एक structure बन गया कि इस factory के नीचे 3 लोग हैं, इतना खर्चा marketing में हो रहा है. Then you create functions around it. You create a functional, इसमें finance people, इसमें this people, इसमें that people. You build an entire functional structure, functional implementation. Finance function सही से काम कर रहा है, HR function सही से काम कर रहा है, right? Implementation क्या है? We just studied supervision. It's a managerial activity of supervision, right? It is a managerial activity of supervision. So you're supervising all of these things. And finally, there is behavioral implementation. That means people are actually doing what they're expected to do in all the above things, right? People are actually doing what they're expected to do in all the above things. You are supervising. It's a managerial activity. Implementation is basically around a managerial activity we have studied. It is for business and middle level, your middle and lower level management people who are supervising things, who are understanding the processes and working around it, right? So these kind of issues that come in strategy implementation, stepwise, you have to take care of, you have to supervise, you have to find out problems, you have to solve problems. Whatever problems come in implementation, you have to solve those issues. You have to understand क्या गलत हो रहा है, and you find solutions. So if you go for a job today, right, or an articleship today, बहुत ज़्यादा questions, a lot of questions come around all these things, right? If I'm giving you an insight on this, when you go for a job or an articleship, what happens is interview questions बहुत ज़्यादा पूछे जाते हैं in terms of how do you solve a problem, right? They will give you a scenario कि ऐसा हो रहा है company में, how will you solve this problem? So all of these issues is what a company faces at each level. And interview me, they ask questions from you that this is the problem, how do you solve this? Okay, so probably you will say very general question also. If you go for a managerial role, after 3-4 years of your experience, you will go to a managerial role. They will ask you questions in interviews like, you have 3 people in your team, right? 2 people agree with you, 1 person does not agree with you. How will you handle that? How will you handle that? That is also an interview question, because how do you handle people is also part of your managerial job. It is also part of strategy implementation. It is also part of your implementation job as a manager, right? So all these issues that come in strategy implementation for middle and lower level managers, they have to identify and solve problems in these all areas, right? They have to solve problems in all these areas of strategy implementation, right? I think I'll go straight to questions. We'll take up the next thing. Cool. Before I go to the questions, because after this, no, see, iske baad we have strategic change. I'll not do strategic change. What we'll do is now we'll do questions, right? I'll not do strategic change today. We'll do that in tomorrow in the next session. But we have 30 minutes. Let us utilize that for questions, right? Is that okay with you guys? You guys also want to do more questions, right? So we'll do more questions in the next 30 minutes. What's it? Can we start with the questions? Can we start with case scenario? We'll discuss a case scenario and like two, 3 questions. I think I have 2-3 questions for you. I have 2 questions probably. Independent questions, and then we'll also do a case scenario. Does that help? Does that help? Questions की तरफ चलें अब. Awesome. Awesome. Thanks, Ria. Thanks, Ananya. I'll just wait for another 10-15 seconds for others also, right? Let us go on to understand some questions now. We'll start from this topic in the next session. Awesome. Because I know questions, samajhna is the main thing. Baki to we can do, right? Okay, cool. So let us quickly get into a short quiz and then we'll do a case scenario. Okay. एक छोटी सी quiz करेंगे. Okay, one question. If I get confused in options, then how to resolve it? Find keywords. I'll always suggest, while understanding questions, while reading questions, focus on keywords. Focus on keywords, because we will always want to confuse you, right? 2-3 चीजें देके, but you have to identify that keyword. कि अच्छा, ये keyword है. We'll see that in the next question, right? Probably you'll be able to solve this. If not, you'll learn how to solve the question, right? Okay, here we go. Question is on your screen. Rupali was talking to her mother and said, as a business, you don't want to be paying staff to sit idle, nor pay thousands in rent just to serve one customer, as it's far cheaper to serve 1,000 customers. What could she be referring to? Is she referring to the brand identity of a company? Is she referring to economies of scale? Is she referring to bargaining power of the buyer? Because more the people you serve, the more bargaining power they get. Or is she referring to switching cost? Ki bhai, instead of making people sit idle, it's cheaper to serve 1,000 customers, right? Is it a switching cost? The first answer we have, right? Rohan, let's see if you're right. Let's wait for some time. Let others also answer. Okay. Rohan, Sonal, Harsh, Jamil says economies of scale. Harsh says economies of scale. Economies of scale. Rohan says economies of scale. Sonal says economies of scale. Shivam says switching cost. What else? Who else is typing an answer? Right? Okay. Who just says switching cost? I want all of you to answer, please, right? I want all of you to answer, please. Absolutely. Absolutely, Jamil. We have got the keyword. Okay, I have more answers. Economies, economies, economies of scale. The correct answer is economies of scale, right? Economies of scale. It is far cheaper to serve 1,000 customers is economies of scale. The more the production, the less your unit cost, right? The production increases, your unit cost decreases. And that is what economies of scale is all about. That is what Rupali is referring to here. She's telling her mom that you do not want people to sit idle because वो महंगा पड़ेगा. Instead, I should just serve 1,000 customers so that my cost reduces. पैसा आना शुरू हो जाएगा. The more production I do, the more services I give, my unit cost starts decreasing, right? Costing में economies of scale is just based on simple concept of costing. Costing में you have fixed cost and variable cost, right? Economies of scale is based on that particular logic. यहाँ पे आपका fixed cost होती है, variable cost होती है, right? So if you're making 100 units, your fixed cost is same. If you're making 1,000 units, your fixed cost is same. If you're making 10,000 units, your fixed cost is again the same, right? बस variable cost change होती जाती है, right? That is economies of scale. कि आपकी fixed cost तो उतनी ही रहती है. You make 100 or 10,000, your variable cost keeps changing. That is why you gain more. Your cost starts decreasing because fixed cost तो उतनी की ही उतनी है, right? That is costing a concept, and that is economies of scale. Okay, cool. Next one. Next one on the screen. Next one on the screen. Le Pont du Hall. Okay, the Le Pont du Hall is a famous world art gallery. The entrance to the main hall is crafted in such a way that the first painting people see is actually a mirror, meaning they see themselves as a painting, right? The art director was quoted as saying, "We enjoy attention to detail." What is this attention to detail for Le Pont du Hall, right? What is this? What is this? Is this the brand identity? Is this a competitive advantage? Is this a core competency, or is it a value chain creation for the customer कि वो अपने आप को पहले देखते हैं as a painting? What is it? Brand identity, brand identity. Is this the answer for this one? No, this is not the answer for this one. Okay. Value chain creation, brand identity, core competency. What else? Value chain creation, brand identity, core competency. Okay, okay. This is a good question. Abhi, you guys got confused. Last 5 seconds, and then we'll find the answer. Value chain creation. No, the correct answer is core competency. The correct answer is core competency, right? We enjoy attention to detail. It's a core competency for them, right? It is not a value chain creation. This is just a marketing gimmick. ये तो marketing है. इसमें वैल्यू क्या बन रही है इसमें? व्हाट इज द वैल्यू द कस्टमर इज गेटिंग? कोई वैल्यू. वो शीशा देखने के लिए ज्यादा पैसे नहीं देगा, राइट? थिंक अबाउट दिस. वैल्यू चेन क्रिएशन क्या है? वैल्यू चेन इज वर्किंग ऑन योर प्राइमरी and your supportive activities to create value for the customer so that they're ready to pay more. If I tell you कि आप उस if some of your friend says boss तू पहले जाएगा उस hall में, you go to that art gallery, you will see yourself, you will say यार खुद को देखने के पैसे क्यों दूंगा मैं, right? So that is not a value chain creation. It's a marketing gimmick. It's marketing for them. It's a marketing technique for them. It is not value chain creation. Brand identity bhi nahi, right? This is not something that only they are doing, right? This is just a marketing technique for them. But this marketing technique is creating a core competency, and they have mentioned we enjoy attention to detail. This is our core competency. I enjoy attention to detail, and that is why I'm one of the world's most famous art galleries, right? Because my competence, what I'm extremely good at is my core competency. You remember we studied this. I know 5 things. मेरे को तबला बजाना आता है, गिटार बजाना आता है, गाना आता है. But I am the best at playing tabla, let's say. That is my core competency. I'm good at marketing, I'm good at everything, but we enjoy attention to detail. Entrance pe shisha laga de, it's a marketing, and that is my attention to detail of how a customer will think. That is how attentive I am about my customer. That is my core competency, right? Attention to detail is my core competency, is what the art director said, right? Value chain creation to kahin se bhi nahi. Because it is not creating any value for the customer. Value for money aa raha hai kya? Is this particular thing creating value for money? So let's say I'll tell you 5,000 rupees entry hai is art gallery. You have to pay 5,000 rupees for this art gallery to see this art gallery. And no one is there to value for money to hai hi nahi. So value chain creation should create some value for money for the customer. अपने आप को देखने के लिए कोई 5,000 रुपए नहीं देगा, right? It is just their marketing technique. And why have they created this? Because they have attention to detail as their skill set. Their core skill set is attention to detail, and that is their core competency, right? Right? You understand the concept? This is what I'm saying. This is the keyword. ऐसे you have to find out the keyword. Why not brand identity? उन्होंने कहाँ mention किया है? What is a brand identity? They're not creating any brand identity. They're already the world's most famous gallery. They have already created a brand identity, right? The attention to detail is the core competence. Look at the question. We enjoy attention to detail. The question is, what is this for Le Pont de Hall? What is this? This means we enjoy attention to detail. What is this? Attention to detail kya hai? Attention to detail. What is this? We enjoy attention to detail. What is this? This is core competency of the art gallery. इसमें brand identity का, they're already the most famous gallery in the world. Why will they need a brand identity? Like, why would they want to do this and that? इतना ज़्यादा marketing करेंगे, इतना ज़्यादा दिमाग क्यों लगाएंगे? They're already the most famous art gallery. But their attention to detail, their core competency has created a brand identity that has created a world famous gallery for them. ये attention to detail जो core competency है, because of core competency you get competitive advantage, because of core competency you get brand identity, right? है तो core competency attention to detail. You get it? How can it be core competency? Because the customer will tell about the art gallery if brand identity वहाँ, it will create brand identity. You are absolutely right. All of you are absolutely right कि brand identity create हो रही है. ब्रांड आइडेंटिटी क्रिएट हो रही है, बट क्यों हो रही है? द क्वेश्चन इज नॉट अबाउट कि ये क्या क्रिएट कर रहे हैं. द क्वेश्चन इज वी एंजॉय अटेंशन टू डिटेल. व्हाट इज दिस? द आर्ट डायरेक्टर वाज कोटेड सेइंग वी एंजॉय अटेंशन टू डिटेल. What is this attention to detail for this particular hall? It's a core competency for them, which is creating a brand identity, which is creating a competitive advantage, right? Okay. Now what we're doing is, I have taken a case scenario from the booklet itself, right? On ICAI website, on Board of Studies website, you have a case booklet, right? उसमें page number 67 पे we have this case scenario for Midori Tech, right? There is a case scenario called Midori Tech. We are going to solve that today, right? We are going to solve that today. We are going to understand how do we read a case scenario, and how do we solve questions, how do we understand a question, and how do we solve a case scenario, right? और इसको बहुत जल्दी करना होता है. I'm giving ऐसे बैठ के पढ़ते नहीं रहना है. You do not have to keep sit and understand underline करते रहना. You have to be very quick reader, right? You have to be very quick. Exam में time नहीं मिलेगा, right? Okay. So let us start with this. Right? What I've done is I've created 2 slides for this entire case scenario. Very quickly, we'll just take 5 minutes to read this entire thing. I will also keep underlining here how I read. Meanwhile, you also read with me. Okay. You also read with me and then we'll go on to solve questions. This is from the booklet itself, page 67. If you want to refer, you can refer as well, but don't see the answers. Okay. Awesome. Let us start reading within 5 minutes quickly. Jaldi jaldi padhte hain, and let's see how can we solve questions from this case scenario which comes in examination. Okay. Cool. You also read. I'm also reading. I'll keep underlining how I do it. I'm moving on to the next slide. Chapter 59 पे. I thought it's a 67. Question का देख लिया क्या मैंने? I'm moving on to the next slide. What about you? Can I move on to the next slide? And this is on page 67 only, sir. कौन सी page पे देख रहे हो आप? This is on page 67 only. I'm moving on to the next slide. Can I move on to the next slide? Yes. Okay. Let us move on to the next slide quickly. Done. Can we move on to the questions? It's not in the study material. I'm also referring the latest only. POS where you have a latest, right? This is your case scenarios booklet, what you get on the website. This is there on आपका BOS पे. You go there, you will find in Paper number 7, MCQs and case scenarios booklet. Go to MCQs and case scenario booklet section B. Go to page 67 and you will find this thing there. BOS, it's already uploaded. I just taken it from there. Cool. Can we move on to the questions now? It's not in the study material, Jamil. आपका case booklet है, which is there on ICAI website. Okay. I think you have also underlined or written down the keywords. Let us move on to the questions very quickly. Okay. Questions की तरफ चलते हैं. Then we'll solve this. Are we okay to move to the questions? Give me a yes. Give me a no. Okay, just 2 people have written yes. Questions. What about others? I want all of you to tell me if I can move on to the questions. Are you guys still reading? Can we move to the questions, please, quickly? Otherwise, we'll be short of time. See, the case scenario will have 5 questions, but I've just kept 3 questions here so that just to discuss how we do it. Okay. All right, let's move on to the questions. I have more yeses, so cool. Okay, the first question. Robotics, e-commerce, energy, and others are separate units of Midori Tech that have been devised for easy control. Which of the following is not a characteristic that would have helped them identify and separate units for their better strategic management? Okay, now tell me, which of these is not a characteristic that would have helped them identify and separate units? Abhi kya kiya hai? They have created based on client industry, right? ये हमने पढ़ा कि for better control and उन्होंने क्या किया? They have divided their company into 4 segments based on client industry. The question says client industry तो ठीक है, they are separate units, they have devised for easy control, understood. But out of these 4, which is not a characteristic जो ideally business को divide करने में काम होती है, right? If I have to divide my business, I have to create a divisional structure or an SBU structure. What are the kind of things, characteristics that are generally not considered while creating a division or an SBU? What is the answer? You tell me. You see how I am reading the question? This question is not even related to the case scenario in terms of it is a straightforward question linked to the case scenario. Case scenario से हमको reference दे रहे हैं कि see that company has created divisions based on their customer की industry, right? But that does not generally mean that it is what are the other ways, what are the other characteristics that are used for creating divisions and SBUs? उसमें से भी which is not one of them, right? It's a negative question. जिसमें से आपको you have to rule out. Okay. Tulsi says distinct market. Let us see. If that is right or not. Okay. What are your answers? Distinct market, identical, competitive advantage. Okay. Similar technology, distinct market, similar technology. What about others? Where are the others? Answer ढूंढने चले गए क्या अब booklet से? Okay, similar technology. No, the answer is customer preference, right? Now see, customer preference is not a characteristic of a division, right? As the matter is based on internal strategic decisions and does not relate to customer influence. If you remember, divisional structure or an SBU structure, right? Divisional structure, it is not a characteristic of a division, right? As the matter is based on internal strategic decisions and does not relate to customer influence. If you remember divisional structure or an SBU structure, right? Divisional structure, it is not a characteristic of a division, right? As the matter is based on internal strategic decisions and does not relate to customer influence. If you remember The decision to divide a business, the decision to divide a business is based on internal preferences, is based on internal business की preference के base पे SPO division बनता है, customer की preference पे नहीं बनता है, right? It can be done on distinct markets. क्यों नहीं बन सकता? India market, US market, distinct markets, India market, US market, Canada market, European market. Market के basis पे we can do segments, we can do divisions, we can do your SBUs. Similar technologies पे we can club SBUs together, right? Similar technology, I have similar technology, frozen चीज बनाने की और बॉइल्ड चीज बनाने की, फ्राइड चिप्स बनाने की, बॉइल्ड चिप्स बनाने की और फ्रोजन आइसक्रीम बनाने की. The technologies are similar. I can club my businesses into that. Similar technologies I can do. Identical competitive advantage. Competitive advantage क्या है? Core competencies is competitive advantage we get. So if you have a core competency which is common to 2-3 businesses, you club them together. You can do that. You can do that. But customer preference पे कैसे आप distinct बने? So customer preference keep changing. Think about this. Customer preference today's customer preference is to eat fruits. Tomorrow जैसे नहीं, fruit नहीं चाहिए हमको, तो dairy products ज़्यादा चाहिए. आपके division, you will keep changing your divisions. Is it so easy? Because customer preferences keep changing very quickly, right? Customer preferences keep changing very quickly. So how can you create a division based on customer preference? Plus, that is an external thing. Creating division on SBU is an internal strategic decision which is based on internal preferences. आपके business के preference के base पे आप division बनाते हो. You do not create a division based on the customer preference, right? So that is what the answer is. Okay, next question. Designer Private Limited and Midori Textile falls under which type of expansion strategy? ये तो बहुत simple है. This is super duper simple, right? This is the super duper simple. Is it a conglomerate merger? Is it a concentric diversification? Is it a horizontal merger? Or is it a strategic alliance? What kind of expansion strategy is this? Okay, I have a few answers. Let's wait for others as well. Sure, I can go back to the case. See. Two things. This is part one and this is part two of the deal. The second important aspect is shared research and development center. And the first part is to be the leader in developing farewell. The major motive both the companies is to capture the budding segments of the market, which is very difficult to do so on one's own. अकेले करेंगे तो बहुत मुश्किल है, so they want a partner, right? And second is they'll get shared research and development center with a 70-30 investment in R&D, right? So what kind of a deal is this? Last 5 seconds. Okay, the answer is strategic alliance. The answer is strategic alliance is the right answer, as the companies would maintain independent status and they plan to benefit from each other what they could not get in isolated operations, right? They are not merging. First thing is merger nahi ho raha, right? They are not even diversifying. वो सिर्फ एक strategic alliance कर रहे हैं to use R&D एक दूसरे के resources use करने के लिए, because it will not be possible to beat the competition in isolated operation. Means अकेले they will not be able to beat the competition, so they are coming together. They're not doing any diversification. They're not doing any merger. right? Merger तो है ही नहीं किसी, they will be independent status रहेगा, they will not merge. कहाँ पे लिखा है they will merge, right? See, what they're doing is, and this deal, there is a deal, information system to multi-million-dollar deal. यहाँ पे deal लिखा है, merger कहाँ लिखा है, right? It is a deal. It is not a merger. They're not buying the company. They're not selling their company. They're not buying their company. They're not merging their company. It is just a deal. Contract हो रहा है कि आओ मिलके काम करते हैं, right? It is just a deal कि आओ let us work together, because isolated operation अकेले करेंगे तो competition को beat नहीं कर पाएंगे, right? That is why it is a strategic alliance. The answer is strategic alliance, right? Okay. I'll tell you why strategic alliance, because you will get confused in strategic alliance. Cool. Last question. Last question. It's already 9:30. It's the last question. Let's see. Mr. BK Soman shall work as a general manager to the R&D center for the two companies. At which strategic level will he be working as a general manager? Okay, tell me. At which strategic level will Mr. BK Soman? BK Soman जी के बारे में पढ़ते हैं जाके. In the case scenario, what they're saying is, okay, यहाँ पे they're talking about Mr. BK Soman. The last line. So Mr. BK Soman, okay, what is happening is, erstwhile head, he's the erstwhile head of Designer Private Limited. He is the erstwhile head, means he's currently the head of this company and has now been appointed as the general manager of R&D center, जो यहाँ पे R&D center खोल रहे बैंगलोर में, right? What the R&D center they're opening in Bangalore, उसके general manager बन जाएंगे, okay? And would report directly to the CEO of Midori Tech, right? He will report directly to the CEO of Midori Tech. That means कि अगर he is directly reporting to CEO, that means he is a corporate level manager, okay? How am I understanding this question? He is reporting directly to CEO, corporate level के हैं, but he is taking care of a particular function. He is taking care of a particular head. He is the general manager. He is not even a functional head. He is the general manager. तो ये business level भी है, because he is the erstwhile head. He is the existing head of designer. The corporate level manager तो पहले भी थे, and he is directly reporting to CEO. So he is again a corporate level manager, and he is the general manager of R&D. एक particular business, एक particular segment के he is the head. He is the business level manager. He is general manager. अभी you will get confused कि R&D तो function है. R&D को head करने वाला person is a functional manager. You will think R&D को देखने वाला is a functional manager, but remember general manager, he is appointed as the general manager. Functional level पे general managers नहीं होते हैं, right? Functional level पे general managers नहीं होते हैं. There are no general managers at functional level. So functional level तो पक्का आंसर नहीं है, is what I think. Okay, so let us go to the question. The question is, Mr. BK Suman, मेरे को समझ आ गया, he is the general manager, and I know functional level पे तो general managers नहीं होते. तो option C काट दिया, option D काट दिया. These are not the answers. What is the answer? Answer है, he can be corporate level. Corporate level तो है, but he is the general manager of R&D now. In the latest, at which strategic level, right? He's the general manager of R&D center now. So it has to be, I think, corporate and business level, right? Corporate level भी और business level दोनों को he's covering, because he's reporting to the CEO and he's also the general manager of R&D. Okay, what do you think? What do you think? Right. So a lot of you are saying same like corporate and business, and that is the right answer, right? And that is the right answer. Corporate and business level, right? Corporate and business level. Awesome. Super. That is how you solve case scenarios. That is how you solve case scenarios, and that is how you read a question, how you read a case scenario, and you solve questions, right? I've just taken 3 questions from the case scenario. जहाँ पे 5 होते हैं, ideally you'll get a 5 or 6 questions. I've just taken 3 because we also had to cover syllabus as well. So there was one question Charu you had. Charu had a question from study material. एक बार please tell me that. For others, we will start with strategic आपका change and audit, right? We'll start from where we left off today. In the next session, we'll complete chapter 8. Do let me know if you want to do more case scenario. एक और case scenario if you want me to do in the next last session. We will do that as well. Day after tomorrow, I think we will be having आपका last session. Do you want me to do another case scenario? Do let me know. And if Charu, you still have a question, after study material, say drop that question. I'll be happy to solve that. Absolutely. That is right, Anana, because he is directly reporting to the CEO. So वो corporate level manager भी है. Also, if you read carefully, he was the existing head of Designer Private Limited, right? So Designer Private Limited के head थे वो. So that he is already a corporate level manager पहले से. And because of this strategic alliance, he is now also a business level manager. Sure, we'll do another case scenario as well. एक और case scenario booklet से लेके आएंगे, then we'll solve together. When they report to CEO, they will be corporate level managers, right? Generally, CEO को functional level managers report नहीं करते हैं, right? Business level and corporate level managers report to the CEO, right? So no, if you understand, देखो CEO के नीचे corporate level managers होते हैं, corporate level के नीचे business level होते हैं, business level के नीचे functional level, right? And because this is a strategic alliance between two companies, he is a corporate level manager, existing corporate level manager. अपनी company का तो head था ना वो. अब यहाँ पे आके he is R&D का general manager. So he is a business level manager plus a corporate level manager. कि general manager है, a functional level पे general manager है. Seventh question of first chapter. We can cover that in next session also. That will be really helpful. Otherwise, we'll be very off time. So I'll do first thing. So join in quickly on the next session. I'll solve your question first, or anyone's question who has any questions, right? Sure, we'll do another case scenario as well, and we'll also discuss how to write descriptive question. Okay, I'll take 5 minutes on that as well. How you should frame your answers. Otherwise, probably you can go on internet and find out, right? Let's say you will have a few videos. You can go and do that as well. How to write descriptive answers, right? Check it out on YouTube as well. Otherwise, I'll also discuss there. Cool. Okay, so let us wrap up for today's session. Thank you for everyone for being so interactive as always. It's always a pleasure. And let us see you in the next session. We'll complete chapter 8, एक case scenario, and 5-7 minutes in descriptive answer. And then we'll conclude this entire syllabus, right? All right, guys, take care. I'll see you in the next one.